This is Candace Stewart, your host of Trade Secrets, my podcast. Today, I'm talking to Jorgen Carlsson, my friend. He's fucking amazing. I mean, he's a bass player. He's a producer. He's an engineer. He's a singer. He says not a singer, but he's a singer too. Super talented. Jorgen, thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me be here in this amazing room.
It's pretty, we're in Studio 2 at East West. I always mention that I'm so lucky to be the manager of East West. I'm so grateful. And Jorgen's a client as well. See, it's all many folds.
Yeah.
But it's pretty unscripted. So I'll start with what I always start with, which is where were you born?
Yes. Okay, so Sweden, 1970.
What city?
It's a city called Trollhättan where they used to build Saab.
Troll hats?
Trollhättan.
Okay.
Like troll?
I had a Saab. I had 3 Saabs.
Yeah.
I'm a Saab fan.
I worked at Saab for 4 days and I called out sick for a week. Worked another 3 days. Called out sick for a week.
Dude,
you can call out sick immediately in Sweden.
Dude, I would fire you, dude. That would suck.
No, the foreman took me in and he said,
He just got this job.
Yeah, it was this little box on the assembly line, and he just said, you gotta, do the weeks, do, 4 or 5 dog years, he called it, and then you can be like me here in this box. And I just looked at him.
Oh yeah.
And I walked out.
That
day.
Yeah, that's a goal.
Yeah.
Were you already playing an instrument by that time?
Oh yeah, I just started to play bass. Seriously.
Okay, we just jumped from birth to now he's working at Saab. We're gonna backpedal a little bit.
Okay.
Mom and dad. What do your mom and dad do? What did they do?
Well, my mom was a traditional secretary, did the shorthand in meetings, and she was early on the computers in the 70s.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, so she was a badass secretary.
Nice. Yeah, I took shorthand. I sucked. What did your dad do?
He was a demolition man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Yeah. Like blowing up buildings?
No, he blowed up mountains for gravel, for construction and stuff.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, he used to work in northern Africa, Algeria, when I grew up.
Oh, not fun.
Yeah, that was kind of fun because I used to go there and hang out.
Oh, how fun is that? Siblings?
Brother. Older.
Younger? Oh, older?
Yeah, 4 years.
What's he do?
Nothing with music. It's like we're two
Polar
different.
opposites?
Yeah, completely. He is a car guy, builds houses, which can come in handy.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, that might be a better path.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about maybe doing something in the future.
It's funny. A lot of people that I've talked to, the gist of the whole thing is to find out like how you got here. And noting that there's no one way to get anywhere. As people listen to this, I'm hoping that if kids listen to it, they don't become discouraged because they go, oh, I was going to go to school. Don't go to school. Oh, you got to go to school. Oh shit, I can't afford to go to school. It's too confusing. But I was going to say a lot of people have said, yeah, maybe if I hadn't been a musician, I would have been an architect or I would have been a doctor or doing this. And I'm like, well, that would have been good.
That would have been better.
Yeah, you should have done that. All right, so when did you first start playing?
Well, I think I saw a promo clip on Swedish television. Mind you, there were only 2 channels on TV, TV1, TV2 in the 70s in Sweden. Same with the radio
You're
channels.
still younger than me.
Yeah, but old enough, right?
Yeah.
And they showed a promo clip from Kiss. They had just toured in Sweden in 1976, and they showed the Kiss Alive clip.
Was your town big enough that pretty major concerts came through? Or
not my town, but I was about 45 minutes outside Gothenburg. So that was all the major acts did Stockholm.
Dude, wait a minute. Oslo's Norway, right?
Yeah.
What's Stockholm, Sweden, right?
But Oslo's close to where I live. It's about a 4-hour drive, 3.5. So you can reach it within.
How far away is Stockholm?
4 hours.
Everything's 4 hours away.
Yeah, except Gothenburg's 45.
Okay, got it. All right, and get some big shows came there?
Yeah, all the big shows came by.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So Kiss.
Yeah, so I missed them in 76 because I was only 6 years old. But I saw that clip.
I got out of high school in 1976.
Yeah. Well, I started school in 77, so.
Yeah, there we were. We're chips in the night. Anyway, so you see the promo clip of Kiss.
Yeah, and I remember flying up on the couch, and I talked to my neighbor Tommy, and he had the same experience. And it was our Ed Sullivan thing,
Yes.
For most people, like Luke and all those guys talk about they saw.
The Beatles, we saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. So you went to your dad and said, buy me a bass?
No, I wanted to be a drummer back then.
Oh, okay. Everybody wants to be, what? Honestly, there's been like 4 people that I've talked to that all wanted to be drummers and then ended up doing something else. And the only one that stayed a drummer so far was Chris Sester, who's the drummer for Jet. Yeah, drumming seems to be a natural thing that boys want. You want to beat on things?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, anybody want to drum, right?
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah. So eventually then I got
Did he buy you a drum kit?
No. A snare drum I got.
Was he supportive?
My dad was. My mom wasn't at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. She was like,
well, how are you, like 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're 7.
Yeah.
Don't spend a lot of money on a 7-year-old, you know what I mean?
No, and they didn't. But I got that snare drum, and it was life-changing.
Oh, cool.
I remember vomiting the day before Christmas. I knew I was going to get it, and
oh my God.
I got to open the snare stand.
And you were excited?
The day before on we celebrate Christmas in Sweden on the 24th.
Okay.
Christmas Eve. And then so the 23rd, I got to open the stand and sit with that.
I love it. Well, you know what? I mean, it's definitely a calling. You know what I mean? If you're going to play, almost everybody I know starts early. You know what I mean? Like really early, like 7, 8, 9, something like that. And a lot of people start out playing like trumpet and stuff in the band at school.
Well, I was going to say, so you can't just go to school. Hey, I want to play drums. No. It doesn't work like that. You have to take a whole year of playing recorder flute.
Yes.
And learn how to read, which is good after the fact, but at the time it was catastrophic.
Torturous.
Yeah. So
it almost made you quit?
Yeah, for sure. But I did the year, and then you go to the main music school, I guess, outside your regular school, and you have to audition for the instrument. And you couldn't just go and say, I want to do drums. No, you have to try saxophone, you have to try piano. And
it's really all about what they need for the band. Right? You know what I mean? If you're a drummer but they need someone to play trombone, you're fucked.
Totally. Totally. So I tried saxophone. I got short fingers. He said, I'm going to have to advise you not to do this. And I grabbed the saxophone.
Your hands look normal.
Yeah, but they're kind of wide, He
has fat fingers. There we go. Said it. It's a PG podcast. No, not actually. So you play, what they made you play first?
Saxophone.
Okay, and how was that?
He said I was very suitable for it. Really? First he said, I'm going to have to advise you not to, you got too small hands. So it's like, hey, give me that motherfucker. And I'm,
Nice. I can see the intent. Yeah. But you got to do drums instead?
Yeah, so I got into the drums, blah, 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 and I started to do regular lessons. And
did you and your neighbor start a band?
He was a guitar player, yes. So
what was his name, Tommy?
Tommy, yeah. So he was doing the Andrea Segovia with a stool on the left foot,
Yeah.
This kind of shit.
Playing the broomstick.
And I was like, that ain't Ace Frehley, man.
That ain't rock and roll. So how old were you when you guys put together your first band?
Well, we had bands at the age of 8 or 9,
wow.
But we did playback. So we had there's an old photo where we had a fire, and then we put on green grass to make the smoke, and we were just coughing on stage, which was outdoors. But and then we did playback to Kiss Love Gun, that record. We just played it from top, and we sang with it and played with it. And
in front of people?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good practice, though.
Yeah, totally.
Right? And having a cover band's good practice for everything, especially Kiss.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking, did you put the makeup on?
Eventually, yeah. Then we came up with our own makeup and started our own fan club.
What'd you call it?
Our first band?
Yeah. What was the name of it?
It was called Cable 20,000. And Tommy quit the band because he thought 20,000 was lame. So we came to an agreement just to call it Cable.
Cable. Okay. So I was talking to my friend Robert Carranza earlier this week, and he had a band. He's an incredible mixer producer, but he had a metal band called Lethargic.
Okay.
And they were friends with all the guys in Metallica. Like they're all from like Norwalk and Whittier and shit. And they were like, we're Metallica, and he was like, we're Lethargic. So now he got Cable. Yeah, band names. Interesting. How long did Cable stay together?
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so when did you make that transition from drum, saxophone, recorder to bass?
Yeah, so in Sweden the state helps with the arts, quite a bit.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
they did when I was a kid too.
Yeah, painting or filming or music.
Instruments.
Yeah, so by 1982 I was 12. They really kicked in some money for, they were building rehearsal studios and provided instruments for the kids and stuff.
And so did you have programs and did you go to public school?
Mm-hmm.
So did they have programs in public school and then you had outside supported, like state supported programs as well?
Yeah, both.
Oh,
both.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, really good.
Positive.
Yeah.
How big is that? What's the population of your hometown, do you know? Or what was it then?
50,000 is probably
wow.
65, 70 now.
By the way, that's a goal for me. To get out of a town with 9 million people and go to a town that has 50,000 people. Yeah. That's my new purpose in life.
Yeah, at the time when you were a kid, you just wanted to get out of it. But now when you get older, you want to,
yeah, that's kind of nice. Yeah. Now, were there, I know jack shit about the geography of Sweden. Are there lakes and do you call them fjords? Or no, that's also Norway.
That's Norway. To the left.
What do you call your bodies of water? And was there a big body of water by your town?
Yeah. Vänern is the biggest lake in Sweden, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's two. But yeah, there's lakes everywhere.
You call them lakes?
Yeah. But Finland is known the country of 1,000 lakes.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But all of Sweden has them.
Yeah, my brother's always trying to convince me that Finland and Norway have the highest standard of living. I'm like, yeah, but it's freezing. And the tax base is 85%.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but
I think it's pretty high.
Yeah, it's high.
But it's cool because you don't need anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a government well run would be awesome.
Yeah, no, there's that.
That would be a positive. If we give you all our money and you actually spend it on stuff that helps us, that would be great.
Yeah,
I won't get political on this show.
It's just the entrepreneurship gets a little boggled down, you know.
Right. If you're trying to do something, you got a lot of red tape.
And in Sweden, it's the thing, you have to stand in line. Who do you think you are? Why do you think you can jump ahead? We're all standing in line, you know, waiting for our turn. And it's like, well, these people are not, you know,
as smart as these other people.
No, that's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I think that's one good thing about, say what you will, but capitalism breeds a healthy competition.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, can be a positive for sure.
Yeah.
All right, getting off that topic, we're going to go back into the bass. What was the first bass you owned?
Well, I bought a guitar before this. So
okay.
I jumped.
By the way, I would like to say that bass is really hard. Like people, you might not say that because you're a bass player, but people always say, oh yeah, they play the bass. Dude, bass is freaking hard.
Well, yes.
You got to hang back.
Yeah, you got to do that.
You got to work with the drummer. Yeah. You got to let the guitar player, you know, solo out.
And you decide the chord.
Right. You decide that the part of that part of the melody.
You always get the evil eye if there's a wrong chord on stage to look at the bass player.
Yeah, but the bass player and the drummer are bonded at the hip, though.
Yeah, in a good
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good way. All right, so I go back. What kind of bass?
Well, so I bought a guitar, an Ibanez Iceman too, which was the Paul Stanley thing. But
heavy guitar, Ibanez.
And that wasn't that heavy. It was their cheap series in the early 80s.
Okay, what color?
It was blue metallic.
Nice, to match.
But so I went into the store and I looked at a catalog and I was going to buy a bass because I was set on that, you know, with the Gene Simmons thing and whatever. I can't remember who was the guy at that time, but so I saw this picture of the Iceman, and it's like that's not a bass. I don't give a fuck. That's the bass. I mean, that's the guitar.
That's the one I want.
That looks like Paul Stanley.
That looks cool. It's the blue thing. Yeah. Awesome. So guitar.
So I just played guitar for a few years and learned how to strum a little bit and played in punk bands and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But I was still playing drums on the side, and then it was the classic thing: two guitar players and a bass player, and I was the second guitar player playing rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
Bass player got into some trouble, went to jail.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Juvenile delinquents.
Yeah. He was actually over 18, so he went to jail proper.
What did he do?
I think he stole some money.
Ooh.
From, he worked at
He worked at the saw factory.
He did some embezzlement.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so he went in for 3 months, and then so the guitar player said, well, you know, I'm obviously the better guy, and so you have to play bass.
Oh, my
I was
God.
like, oh, fuck it, I'll play bass.
So did you keep the Ibanez or trade it in?
I kept it for a while.
Okay.
And then I had a Marshall, too. So I traded my Marshall for an Ibanez.
How big a Marshall?
Well, you know, they're all big.
Yeah, they... But aren't they like, is it 410s or?
Yeah, it was 412s, and
okay.
JMP had, you know,
nice.
with the master volume, I guess it was.
Still, to this day, the way to go.
Right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Don't get confused.
You fuck around with all these
don't
boutique,
get confused
and then
with
you
all
come
the
back
little
to
bullshit thing. Go back to your Marshall.
Or Fender.
Well, if you're going to play out,
yeah,
you know, you definitely need something with some fucking power.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, did you know what I think should have happened is I think when that fucker went to jail, he should have given you his bass.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know what I mean? You don't need it.
Right, but it was the city that owned the bass that belonged to the rehearsal space that you could bring with you to the gigs. So, but I went and bought it.
Such a trusting society.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, honestly.
Yeah. I don't think it's like that anymore, but it was like that in the 80s.
Probably cool now.
Yeah.
Probably still cool. My neighbor's from Sweden. He's from Västerås.
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah.
Briefly.
He plays guitar. He's a badass. And an engineer, too.
Mm-hmm.
But he must have had those same programs because that was definitely the case. He was definitely supported and inspired when he was little and young. So, first bass, what was it?
An Ibanez.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the brand.
You said,
well, the guitar was an Ibanez, so then it felt like it was
an Ibanez. What color?
Blue, dark blue metallic.
Oh, nice.
So I got a little darker.
Blue's my favorite color.
Yeah.
All the blues, light, dark, anything. Metallic, yeah.
Yeah, my clogs are
metal
blue.
flake. Yeah, he's Swedish and he wears clogs, and they're navy blue. There you go. Oh, that's right. I forget we're actually on camera now. For the longest time, these were audio only, and I'd be like, "Dear listener, he has beautiful hair." You know what I mean? But yeah, he does have beautiful hair. So now you're playing bass, and what's the name? What's the name of that band?
Well, oh yeah, here's another good one. Erotica.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no,
better than Cable.
Yeah, and it started to get pretty serious. We actually went in and did our first demo proper, not on a Porta studio, but actually 16-track, or maybe it was an 8-track half-inch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, at a real studio, and I remember the engineer was blind, and we were just.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I tell a story about how when I first started learning, my brother was teaching me how to assist. I never was really like an engineer, but I was just sort of helping. Mm-hmm. And I was running a tape machine, and the engineer was Kjell Talmy, and he's blind.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a Swedish name, by the way. But he worked with the Kinks. He did all these records, and I was working with him, and he was blind. And I was like, I kept going up to the console trying to like help him, and he was like, "You don't need to help me." And I'm like, "Well, you're blind." And he goes, yeah, I got it though. It's okay. Just run the tape machine. And I tell this story every time, probably every episode. Years later, I'm at South by Southwest, and I'm in the audience at a panel, and it's Mark Needham and Bob Rock and a bunch of people, and they Skype Kjell in on the video. Mm-hmm. And yes, he's still blind, and he's still alive.
Yeah.
And he said, "Who's there?" And Mark Needham goes, "Well, Candace Stewart's in the audience." And he goes, "Candace, is that you?" And I go, "Hey, Kjell, how you doing?" And he goes, "Best assistant I ever had."
Wow.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because I didn't know how to do anything. So this engineer was blind. I wonder if it was the same guy.
Yeah, I don't know. He was good though.
Was he a known guy at the time?
I think he was, but I was 16.
I should find out if Kjell is Swedish. I mean, Kjell Talmy. I don't know. Is that a Swedish name?
It could be. Kjell with the KJELL.
No, I think it's SHEL.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if it would have been Swedish, that would have been.
Wait, how would you have spelled it?
KJ.
So KJ is your SH?
Well, there's so many versions of the first years in school.
By the way, your English is amazing. Did they teach you English in grammar school?
I learned how to speak English a little bit before I went to school. English in Swedish school systems used to be mandatory from 3rd grade.
Okay.
But all television was in English, as opposed to, when you go down to Germany or France or Italy, Spain.
Yeah, it's all dubbed.
Yeah. Bond spoke German.
Yeah, it's all dubbed.
Yeah,
it's all dubbed.
Yeah.
I was in Paris and I was watching like Rambo dubbed in French, and it was horrendous. It just wasn't. It didn't fit. The dubbing was.
Darth Vader speaking French. Come on. Yeah, so we had Luke.
C'est mon père.
Je swear.
That's classic.
There were subtitles.
Okay.
Swedish.
Wait, the subtitles were in Swedish or they were in English?
No, they were in Swedish.
Oh,
and then
wow.
the dialogue was the original from the U.S.
That would be a great way to learn.
Watching Barretto or, McLeod.
Dude, Barretto.
Yeah.
Brian watches the Rockford Files all the time. And last night we were watching I Spy with Robert Culp and Bill Cosby.
Okay.
Dude, killer. Very 60s.
Yeah.
Super, super dashing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, style. So wait a minute. You're coming of age in the 80s, early 80s.
I guess so.
So yeah.
It felt like I did it in the late 70s.
Okay, got it. All right.
But I was...
What was your style? Long hair, short hair?
Always long.
Nice.
I remember I cut my hair. My mom had me cut my hair, and I refused to go to school. And I didn't go. And it was just a big deal,
Is your mom still with us?
Yes.
How do you get along now?
Very good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Very good. And she's supporting the music now.
Yeah. Well, now she sees that you were able to buy a house and have a life and everything. So, erotica.
Erotica, yes.
Erotica,
so we recorded a demo, 4-song demo that I actually have on a 1/4-inch somewhere. But
you need to transfer that shit. Back it up.
I have a 1/4-inch machine, but there are no tones on it, so I just just keep pushing it forward.
It's 15 IPS.
Probably need to bake the tape and just do it by ear, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you get how old was erotica? Are you like 12 now? How old are you?
16.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, so I started to play bass when I was 16.
Dude, that's when the chicks come.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the chicks love the guitar player and the bass player.
Not so much the bass, unless but in '86 there was the slapping thing. So, so I saw a friend of mine. He played, and it felt like he was as good as Mark King from Level 42.
Amazing, Level 42.
And it freaked me out. And that's the actual reason why I went to sell my Marshall and go get the bass. Before that, I had only borrowed the bass from the rehearsal place.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So his name was Bertil Holmgren. He still plays bass.
Bertil Holmgren?
Yeah.
I know I keep making fun of it. It's just, I can't even imagine. I would fuck it up so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Did we spell your name right on your parking sign?
No.
Is it E-N on the N or O-N?
It's just one L and double S-O-N. It was 2 L's.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
1 L, 2 S, but it is O-N.
Think of it this way, Carlsson.
Carlsson. And in Sweden, O-N, and in
Denmark and Norway, E-N.
Got it. And Jorgen, Jorgen.
Yeah, I actually legally changed it to an O because I have dual citizenship, and it was just confusing. The Swedish one had an O with 2 dots, the umla.
Yeah.
And then the US.
On your first name or your last name?
First.
Okay.
So it's pronounced Ö. That's the vowel.
But do people call you Jorgen or Jorgen?
Both.
And what do you like?
Jorgen.
Oh, Jorgen is correct. Okay, cool. I was worried I was wrong.
Yeah. It's a Y with it's a J pronounced Y.
No, it's an S and a T, and it sounds like a Y. No, I'm kidding. So erotica, you're 16, playing the bass, digging on that. Sold your Marshall. Yeah. Wait, what did you play through?
I borrowed amps at the time. So I still had my Iceman Ibanez guitar and my new Ibanez bass.
All right.
Yeah.
Dark metallic blue.
Yeah, dark metallic blue.
Nice.
I'm not sure what it was called, the serial model.
So in high school, did you play at like the local high school? Did you play around?
No, we played like small minor tours because the city helped you book these minor things, and then you play the festivals in the summer and Christmas festivals.
Sweden is a very cool, liberal country. What's that law that you have? Sanskulats. Like you can have consensual sex at 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Like I think it means without pants. But anyway, that's what sanskulats mean. That means without pants. But I think it's a positively liberal country.
Yes.
I would have to say.
And it's privately owned land. You can't really you can own land, but it's
is it like a long lease?
It's called the every man's right or every person's right law. So anybody can walk on any land without getting shot at, and you can actually put up a tent for 24 hours anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's private.
Well, that might be okay if everybody was nice and civil and clean.
Yeah, and
and not trying to walking across my yard's one thing. Walking in my house is another. Or trying to get in my house.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Do they have laws about that?
Well, you can't get into
that. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't walk into the bedroom.
I think in theory they could put up a tent in your backyard, but nobody does that. But I think that's the
technical aspect.
Yeah.
But again, you're talking about a town of probably under 100,000.
Yeah, but I mean this is national.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, even in big cities.
Yeah, everywhere. But nobody does it.
Yeah. Let's digress. Everybody is well behaved in Sweden, okay?
They used to be, at least.
Yeah, I'm sure they still are.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything gnarly about Sweden. As a matter of fact, my friend that we talked about, my neighbor, his parents emigrated from Syria. They were Kurdish and Syrian, and they emigrated before he was born. But apparently there was like a very cool acceptance of immigrants and people coming in. You know, so it was great for his family because it got him out of a dangerous place.
It comes in waves. If it's too many immigrants, then
they clamp
problems
down.
arise.
Well, yeah, that's true everywhere.
And then it loosens up. And then
that's true everywhere.
Yeah.
again, I try not to be political, but that does happen where an influx of too many people at once will affect the infrastructure and affect the programs.
Yeah.
You know, so, but Sweden sounds like they have it together. Everything I've heard about Sweden sounds like it's super sophisticated and just cool.
Yeah, they're
I need to go there sometime.
Yeah.
So back to erotica. We digress. But so erotica, you're 16. Did you have a girlfriend?
I did up to that point, but at that point, no. So
really?
and music started to get real serious. I didn't know.
No time for girls.
Yeah, so I stopped listening to Kiss around 83 or something when I was 12, 13.
Level 42's coming in on the scene.
Yeah, but more so Pink Floyd and other progressive bands. And,
good.
And I was totally into, you know, Deep Purple and all that. Richard Blackmore was
nice. Yeah, Gilmore's one of my favorite guitar players, actually. I will go there.
But here's how this happened. So I bought David Gilmour's solo record in 1984, About Face, and it was a Mr. Jeff Porcaro playing drums on that.
Nice.
And I got so into his drumming.
It was incredible.
It changed my whole thing. And that's the reason why I'm in LA, partially, you know, because I wanted to go here because I knew Jeff was here. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
But was it more like a prog situation, or was it just straight ahead rock? I mean, Jeff is super versatile too.
Well, Gilmour's solo record was produced by Bob Ezrin, and it was it was Pino Palladino on bass too.
Well, I see him often, one of my faves.
Yeah, but I was just hearing the drums. You know, I didn't really pay attention to the bass, although I was. Yeah, I was. But
and who played bass on Gilmour's solo?
So that was Palladino.
Oh, it was Pino.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
But so the Jeff thing took me into, and I got in the back way. I started listening to Boss Skaggs.
Oh, so good.
That Jeff played on, and then Steely Dan.
Oh, yeah.
And of course I ended up with Toto,
yeah.
you know. And so I didn't start listening to Toto and became familiar with Jeff. It was like because he played on that record.
Right, it was because of Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all childhood friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I listened to Larry Carlson because of Jeff.
So good.
And all kinds of things. Even Lee Ritenour had Jeff on drums. So I started listening to all these crazy things. And it all led to L.A., right?
You know what's so interesting is that you were in Sweden listening to that, and I was in South Carolina, but I always was listening to British music.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really... I mean, my husband has given me a great education, but mad respect for... I did listen to Boss Skaggs, but mad respect for all those musicians. I'm blessed to have worked with a lot of them. But at the time, stylistically, I didn't give two craps about American music. Like, I wasn't listening to Journey or anything like that. I was totally into, like, Roxy Music and the Pretenders. And maybe for American bands, late 70s, it was Blondie and the Cars.
Yeah.
You know, but... obviously, the level of musicianship that you're talking about is exponential. I mean, it's what is it? It's in the stratosphere. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You know.
And it's pretty apparent too when you start to compare it. You know?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So how did you Did you go to college, or what's the deal in Sweden? Like, is it like here where you have high school and then you have the option of going wherever you want, or like trade school or university? Or
see, I don't really know because I was actually thrown out of school in 8th grade.
Oh my Lord!
And you have to, by law,
finish 8th grade.
Finish 9th grade.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and then you choose a major for 2 to 4 years, and then you go into university.
Can you do like a GED thing where you test out?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Dude, your mom sounds like she went through hell with you.
Oh yeah.
Were you in trouble?
Yeah.
He's really, really, really nice now. And we love you, Mom. So what's Mom's name?
Sirpa. She's actually from...
Sirpa, we love you.
She's from Finland.
Oh, there you go.
I'm half Finnish.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. World War II, they shipped over the kids to Sweden because we were neutral. And then
the joke would be, so the line is Finnish.
Yeah. There you go.
The Finnish line. So bad. Anyway. So you get kicked out of school in 8th grade? What'd you do?
I worked at a record store.
No, what'd you do to get kicked out?
I was just completely non-responsive to authorities.
Well.
Don't do that. Whatever.
Nice. Okay. And your poor dad, what was Dad's stance?
Well, he was still working in Algeria at the time, so he actually quit that. He broke his contract to come back early because...
And kick your ass.
Because they were going to put me in a juvenile place.
like a little kid's jail.
Yeah.
Damn it, dude.
Yeah,
See, this could have messed up your whole path. Anybody who's listening to this It's one thing to resent authority, but just remember there's consequences to your actions. And if you get thrown into the juvie home and become a loser, then you're probably not going to get the bass and probably not become a famous musician. So
right.
Be careful.
Yes. I concur.
Listen to your parents.
Yeah, and it was really crazy that for a while. And I was hanging out with some suspicious people.
Ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah.
Dude. Drugs? Do we do drugs?
Well, yeah, in Sweden, so when you smoke hash or weed...
The best hash.
Yeah.
But is it all like Afghani hash?
Yeah, well, no.
It's coming from Africa?
Moroccan, Libyan.
Okay.
Yeah. The Afghan was the black, gooey stuff. It was the strongest.
Okay, this is a really, really lame question. How far away is Algeria from Sweden? Isn't it like fucking far?
No, not that far.
No?
Maybe 5.5 hours.
I guess not, because I think those countries are closer to Spain.
Yeah, well, the southern tip of Spain, Gibraltar, goes into Morocco, and then,
right. See,
then
this
Tunisia,
is where
Algeria.
The dumb American shows their lack of geographical knowledge. Okay, so that makes sense.
Yes, it's not that far.
Oh, okay. So that's where the hash is coming. So in Sweden, was that a felony?
Definitely. On par with heroin.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so if you smoked hash, you're with the amphetamine guys or the heroin guys.
Oh, the crackheads. Oh, bummer.
Yeah, so you get put in that category. So it was a little bizarre.
That's a little gnarly.
Yeah, because I never thought it was like that. I thought
it should totally be a class, whatever the lesser is.
I'd say alcohol is a bit more dangerous than smoking weed.
Alcohol is very dangerous, but that's some of these episodes I drink with my guest. Jorgen happens not to drink, but he did.
I had my share.
I know you did. I drank with you, so I know. Yeah. So wait, so your dad breaks his contract, comes back because you're like going off the rails.
Yes.
And what steered you back on course? We'll fly to the States and introduce you to Jeff Porcaro. I mean, what?
Well, there was a guy, Benny, his name was. He was working at the youth
center.
Youth center. Thank you. It's not a direct translation for what it was called in Swedish, but. Yeah, so he actually picked me up and he got me back into the music.
Oh, good. Did you go back to school?
I did. I went back. I was going to do 7th, 8th, 9th grade in a sped up course for over a year and a half.
Oh, cool.
And I started to do that, but I also started to play with a cover band, and now we started to get serious, and we actually got into playing Steve Morse and John Scofield.
Oh, killer.
All this crazy
What's the name of the cover band?
Simply Blues. It was a guy that went to MI in 1986, and he just came back to Sweden in 87, and he had this reputation of
badass guy.
Oh yeah, he played so quick you couldn't see his fingers.
Yeah. The Yngwie of bass.
Yes, but
is Yngwie Malmsteen Swedish?
Absolutely.
Well, see, of course we claim that.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh. So.
So that thing of that.
Did you stay in the program?
Did I what?
Did you stay in the program and finish school?
No.
Jorgen?
No. So similar thing that happened at Saab happened there. I did great the first 3 to 6 months. I did my homework, and I was actually inspired, and I felt good.
I bet you would be a good student. Yeah. You're smart.
That was good. I had to hold a seminar for the class, and I was talking about bass through the 30s, 40s, 50s.
That's cool.
And I got so nervous. So I just went through the 30s up to the 60s in about 40 seconds. And I looked at my teacher. She was looking out the window. She was so embarrassed for me.
Oh, no. Well, yeah.
Anyways, and then I started to talk, and it took 2 hours. I took up the whole double lesson
and you got a good grade.
From 60s up to through the 80s. Yeah, so I got a good grade. But then I started to miss classes. I was practicing all the time. Over the weekends.
Just sort of forgot to go to school?
8 to 14 hours a day on the weekends, and then I went to school, and
It shows in your playing, by the way.
Yeah, and I bicycled home in the breaks just to practice. And then the principal called me in, and it reminded me, 5 years earlier when I was in school for real. And he said, well, I have a son, and he's studying now, so he plays guitar, but, he puts it on the shelf, and he tinkles on the weekends. And just when he told me that, it's like, no, I can't be here.
See, this is what happens. People say things to you, and you walk out like the guy at Saab.
I just walked out, never went back to the classroom, and I called my dad, and I said, I need to do something. I think I need to go to Los Angeles.
Dude. And what are you, like 16, 17? How old are you?
I was 18 at the time, and then by the time I was 20, yeah, I was in Los Angeles. So it took about a year and a half, 2 years to get it.
Did you go to MI?
Well, I ordered the catalog from MI first, and it just looked so heavy metal. The 80s scene on the Sunset Strip was just blowing it out.
Yeah.
And then I saw a picture of Jeff Porcaro doing a seminar at Grove School of Music, and I was like,
"Oh, that's right. What? Of course you went to Grove."
Because we didn't really meet there, but I remember you from there. And then Minnie, my wife, she took classes with you.
I taught at the Grove School of Music,
yeah, you
which
did.
is super quick. It was like 1993 or 94, and this guy, Jerry Steckling, who's a friend of mine, who's a great designer, a studio designer, he came to me and he said, "Hey, I'm teaching at this music school." And I'm like, "But I'm not a musician." He goes, "Well, no, you need to teach like studio etiquette and what it's like and how people need to behave in a recording studio." And I was like, "What?" And I loved it. I loved teaching. I met a lot of cool people there.
But I went 91, 92, so you must
you were before me. Yeah.
No, you were there.
Okay, maybe I started that early. Yeah, maybe I started in 90.
Yeah.
It's all a blur.
See, I'm here to correct you.
Yeah, I don't mind. But Grove, what a great school.
It was.
Dick Grove, if people don't know, was a very well-known jazz musician, and a lot of cool people went to that school. So that's where. And were you studying bass?
Yeah.
And were you studying jazz bass specifically?
Yes, as it were. You just rolled in, and day one you were in an ensemble playing the real book, and then
oh my god,
get ear training class, and it was just
okay. Favorite jazz bass player, Jocko. Come on.
Yeah, if you consider him jazz.
Yeah, what is he?
I mean, he's just in a category by himself.
Yeah,
it's like the Jimi Hendrix of bass,
dude,
right?
He's so amazing.
Yeah, it really
seriously crazy,
amazing.
Yeah. But you were playing cool stuff like that.
Yeah, but
good teacher. Who was your teacher?
Amazing teacher. He passed away. Joel DeBartolo. He was at the Tonight Show for about 17 years with Carson.
How cool is that somebody had that job and was probably really busy, but took the time to teach? God bless.
Yeah, so he did that, and then went to Burbank in the afternoon and shot the thing. It was. Dude, I remember his last day when he came back, when Carson handed it over to Leno.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was crying. It was really.
Aww.
Yeah.
Great players in all those bands, including Leno's. All those bands, amazing musicians.
He screamed at me when I showed up late for a big band playdown.
Good.
In front of the whole school.
Good.
I stood with my arms down, just like mouth open, and
and you didn't walk out.
No, but I sat down and let him play it. I said, I'm done. I can't play after that.
You were upset. Yeah, you were upset. Well, see, but this is the thing, though. I think it's a fine line when you look back on teachers or people that were influential in your life. It's like to call you on your shit or not. I mean, that's believe it or not, in my day-to-day job, disciplining people and the people that work for me, who I love them all, but not letting them get away with shit and learning how to talk to them in a way that will inspire rather than tear them down and demoralize them. You know what I mean? Because people will piss you off. And being late to his class, he had a right to be mad.
Yeah, and it was the play down for the big band, and I showed up late.
So you're letting everybody else down, too.
It's unacceptable.
I agree. Have you ever been late to a rehearsal or a performance since?
Well, yes, with Grove School of Music. They actually hired me because my reading back then, believe it or not, was pretty good.
I bet.
And when they moved to Woodland Hills...
I remember DeSoto, off at DeSoto.
Yeah, so there was no more bass department, but they still had ensembles, and I think Terry Giano was the teacher for the ensemble, and I showed up late, and the girl at the front desk said, "No, that's okay. He's got somebody. Don't worry, and also you don't have to come back."
Oh shit!
Yeah, and that was the last time I was late.
Did you go back to school again or no?
No, so I finished Grove, and then they hired me after.
Oh, okay. All right, as a teacher or as...
No, as an assistant.
Oh, gotcha.
Playing in the ensembles and stuff.
Gotcha. So now, how did you make the connections that led you to be able to actually go on the road and get like, what was your first touring gig?
Jump ahead. But you see, I wasn't planning on staying in the States. I was just going to do 1 year.
Oh, yeah, you tell your story.
From 91, 92, and then come back to Sweden and be this badass like my friend Ulf. They went to MI in 86.
Yeah, you were going to be the star.
Yeah. Just come
home.
You
are a star.
Come home and shred. Whatever, you're 20. I don't know.
That's cool. That's fine.
And maybe I get to see Jeff Porcaro. I'd seen him with Toto at, when they toured in Sweden at the late 80s, but...
Were you going to the clubs when you were in LA?
Oh yeah, that's like the biggest thing.
That was the education.
Yeah. Meeting people, playing in ensembles, and then of course all the harmony and ear training you get at school. But it takes so many years to let that sink in. You can't learn and use it in 1 year. It takes.
And it's also different than being on stage in front of an audience.
Yeah, but watching people play, I remember seeing Jimmy Johnson play at the Baked Potato with Tom Breckline, and he asked me after, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." My whole dream was shattered. It doesn't matter if I practice 20 hours a day for the next decade.
I don't think
I will
that's
never
true.
be as good as Jimmy Johnson. And
I don't know, dude. You're a badass musician.
But then you realize maybe you can find your own avenue.
Your niche.
And then you do that. Because that's the only thing you can do anyways. Right? You can't be what other people are.
Well, I mean, you can't let it intimidate you to the point where you don't play.
No, I think it's good in the beginning to steal from other. Yeah,
well, it's good to inspire and to let you know what you need to practice, what you need to work on. You know, and discipline.
Yeah.
But you seem very disciplined, which is odd because you've quit all these other things.
But it's only been this one thing, you know.
I love it.
Yeah, and I couldn't really tell what it was, and I still don't really know what it is. It's just
a driving passion for music.
Yeah.
What? So you met Minnie, your wife, at Grove. How long did you date before you got married?
3-4 years.
Oh, okay,
she might have asked me to get married before, and
right.
I was like, my parents got divorced. I'm not really looking.
Oh, your parents did get divorced?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
When?
Way back.
Oh, okay. But everybody's friendly. It's all amiable. Everybody's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
as far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Candace.
So, but what were you doing to eat? Like, this is my real question. So you've gotten hired to be like this assistant in the ensemble. You're out of Grove. Like, how were you feeding yourself?
I picked up this one gig with the old Toto singer, Jean-Michel Byron. We played at a place called Prezzo on Ventura and Woodman.
What was it called?
Prezzo.
I don't. Oh, Prezzo.
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah, with the American Prezzo.
Prezzo. Yeah, we played at Prezzo. There were Stanley's, Prezzo.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Next to Record One there.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is. So, but that was a good enough gig and you made enough money to survive?
No, but it was one, and you got to see, people saw you, and people sat in, so you met a lot of people that way.
Gotcha.
And leading up to my first tour, which was in 1995, so that's a 3-year gap there from coming out of the school. But I wasn't really ready because I wasn't thinking I was going to be a touring musician. I had like studio musician on my mind.
You want to be a session player?
Yeah. But I guess
big difference. Some people do both, but a lot of people do both. But
I spread myself a little thin there. I got kind of just, I don't know.
Were you cocky?
Yeah, I was fucking around for 3 years, you know, just like hanging in. I lived in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. And I remember my first audition, I walked into a guy and I said, I played him some cassettes, played some bass. And then he said, okay, well, you can play. All right, cool, man. I'll call you. I'll tell them. And he looked at me like, what? I'll call you. And
that's what he said or you said?
I told him first, I'll call you. And he just laughed at me.
That's classic.
Yeah.
So
he never called.
Well, his loss.
Yes.
Have you seen him since?
No.
There you go. So what kind of bass are you playing by then? Still the Ibanez?
No, I had a Warwick bass for a minute.
Warwick.
Yeah.
I have not heard of that for a minute.
But that was just, it's a really good instrument for it, and I got a good deal on it. But I swapped to a 5-string Music Man because of Tony Levin.
Oh, okay.
And I could only afford one bass at the time, and that seems to be like a good session bass. And you needed a 5-string in the 90s to do sessions.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah. Still today, you kind of need it, but not so much.
I think there's a Dan Electro 5-string at my house bass.
Let's get it.
I should show. Next time you come over, I'll show that to you. So, hanging out in Hollywood, hanging out with Meanie, not married yet, trying to figure out what to do to make a living, thinking you're going to be a session player. What's the first paying gig, or touring gig, rather?
Well, I did paying gigs. I got into the session scene. I did sessions over at Soundcastle.
Oh, okay, that makes
Cornerstone.
sense.
I worked there quite a bit.
I love Cornerstone.
I did soundtrack for porno movies.
Like there you go. A lot of bass.
6 or 7.
A lot of bass.
Yeah, and it was days and days of work. And with the live band, it was really good.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, a friend of mine who was part of Cornerstone, passed away, Matty Spindell, about a year ago.
No, he was engineering all those sessions.
Dude, what an amazing
With Scott Borden.
Dude, such a talented guy. But yeah, and I managed Soundcastle, so there you go.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I don't know. I didn't connect the dot that I must have known you then when you'd come in to do sessions.
Yeah, I was so young, and I was and you know, there's a little bit of a language and a culture barrier coming from Sweden. I remember first time I walked into Grove, a recording session there, and I was just standing in awe, just looking at the analog machines and stuff. And then I heard a couple of weeks later that there's that stiff Swedish guy that he hated everything we did.
Oh, because you weren't smiling.
And it was the opposite. And then I learned, no, okay, so you have to be like, yeah, man, sounds great, man. Yeah,
you gotta smile.
That's the LA way, or the
American way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what's happening. So now you're bass player, and you're focused on that, but you're seeing sessions, and you'd already had that very first demo when you were cable.
Yeah.
So you must have had an early fascination with recording.
Yes. Yeah, recording was always, and it was, again, my soon-to-be wife, she took the engineering program at Grove to learn how to record herself as a singer-songwriter.
Gotcha.
So parallel to my little journey, she was recording herself on a MSR 16 Tascam half-inch.
Yeah.
With a Tascam console.
I had a Fostex cassette recorder. It was like an 8-track cassette recorder that I ended up using as preamp. But that was
why not?
Yeah,
I mean, anything. We had an RE20 we recorded all lead vocal with because we heard Bonnie Raitt sang through one.
By the way, your wife has a beautiful voice.
Yes.
Did you guys have a band together?
Well, not at the time, but she kind of got me started on both engineering and songwriting. So I was not into songwriting. I wrote a little bit in my teenage, and I was into the arranging part of it, and
cool,
you know, and that whole thing. But yeah, she got me started on all of that.
Did you? So a band together ever? No?
Yes, we started a band in 1996 called Little Days, which is still going. It's a side project just for our own.
That's a great name, actually.
Yeah,
Better
but
than
it was a play on her name, Meanie Diaz, and Little Days.
Aww.
It means nothing, but it was just.
That's actually kind of a cool name.
Yeah.
So, but the recording thing. So you're watching the sessions, and now you're playing on sessions, and you're going into studios. Did you start asking, or did you learn from Meanie, or how did you? She
taught me the insert
basics?
Cable, you know, ins and outs, and patch bays, and all the gain staging.
How cool is that? How often is a woman teaching a guy how to engineer? I love hearing this.
Yeah,
should happen more. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so until I met Steve Holroyd, and then he
dear
took
friend.
Yeah, and he took it to a new level.
Dude, great engineer.
Yeah, and so I started to do sessions here with him in 1999, I believe.
That was when I first came.
Yeah.
So we're at East West at 6000 Sunset in Studio 2. And in the late 90s, it was called Cello. Mm-hmm. And that was when I first came here. And Steve Holroyd had worked at Ocean Way, because this was the East Building of Ocean Way. And Steve had worked at Ocean Way. And John Porter, who's a British producer who I talk about in every episode, who changed my life and got me to come here, he was also friends with Steve, and got Steve to come and be the chief engineer here.
Right.
Which was really awesome. I mean, Steve is a lovely guy, talented guy, still with us, although I guess he currently has COVID. So, Steve, when you listen to the podcast, it will be probably airing a couple months from now. Know that you're going to be okay. Know that you're going to get better. And it's going to be awesome. But a super talented guy.
Yeah.
So you started doing sessions here. Dude, come on. If you're going to do sessions in a studio, you get to do them at 6000 Sunset.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
It's
like, this is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'd been a manager. Before I came here, I had managed Take One, Red Zone, Soundcastle, and this was the fourth studio that I ever managed, and I'm still here. And I have managed others. I managed Firehouse in between and Sage and Sound for a minute.
Right.
But I've been in this building for well over 20 years, off and on, and it gets under your skin. My recordist, Keith, who's also my assistant. Keith, if you say something, can we hear you on the podcast? Probably not. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So would you agree, and go ahead and get the talk back, would you agree that the building, like, you become, we call it Stockholm Syndrome, because we say that we've been kidnapped by the building, and then we fall in love with our kidnapper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It gets in your blood.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
By the way, Why is that called Stockholm Syndrome?
Well, it was a robbery.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there was a robbery in 1974 or 76.
And people fell in love with the kidnapper?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that guy was from my hometown, Trollhättan. Clark Olofsson was his name. That was a part of that Stockholm Syndrome.
See, there's magic vibes coming out of your hometown. All the guys from Jorgen's hometown are super magnetic.
Yes. No plan B.
So you're doing sessions. You meet Steve. You're becoming interested in engineering in the sense that you were collaborating together. Was he recording a solo album for you, or what were you doing?
Well, he took a shine to the music, and at that time,
was it Little Days or something? Another project?
Little Days, among other projects. I mean, this is just to keep track on Little Days. We'd given up the analog studio because me and his partner, they separated. So I had this little digital machine in my bedroom, a Roland 1680.
Familiar.
Yeah, like in '98 or something. Yeah. And Steve heard the stuff from there. He's like, "Man, this is really
not
good.
Bad.
We need to step on the gas here and like take it to the next level."
Nice.
So then we started to track drums at his house up in Kirkwood there.
Yeah, up Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
Great house.
Yes. And he took me here, and we did a bunch of stuff. No Little Days here ever because we couldn't afford it. But
yeah, but practicing and getting down your, getting your feet wet.
Yeah, and he showed me so much stuff with the engineering, and it was so fascinating because he could put up a 421 and a 57 on a guitar cabinet and run it through a preamp, and then I was like, oh, okay, I know how to do that. And then the next day I go up and do the same thing. It sounded like shit.
Well, it probably wasn't going through a Neve or going to a tape machine either. A 2-inch tape machine.
But there was something about just knowing where it was.
Mic placement.
Yeah, and it's just micro.
Dude, it's. I say this all the time. I'm a huge champion of engineers. I always say we stand on the shoulders of the giants who came before. And mic placement, Al Schmidt, genius, Phil Ramone, all of them, Andy Johns, all of them. Little micro adjustments of mic placement on instruments. Such a huge difference, and should definitely be where you go before you start EQing the crap out of everything.
For sure.
You should definitely move the mic and get it in the right spot
first. That in combination with the source, yeah. And then the player.
Yeah, well, that matters. And the performance, etc. It's always about the song at the end of the day.
It is.
We're all fans because music makes us feel. Bottom line. If it doesn't make you feel something, it's not not working.
Yeah, it's still a piece of shit, even if it's polished, right? So it's got to be a good.
We call that polishing a turd, right? If you just, and so now you're becoming a producer at this point.
You're producing your own
I never
stuff. Liked that term. I'm working on somebody's record. That's how I say it. It's like, well, you're producing it. No, I'm reducing.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to produce, and as a studio manager, I've witnessed many different styles of how people produce. In some ways, the producer is the guy who's responsible for the budget to the band and the record company and keeping the cost down and all those things. But a listening performance, and I'll give everybody that I ever worked with in my career as a studio manager credit, the great producers, Rick Rubin, Bob Rock, Don Was, they're the ones that elicit performance. They make the artist feel comfortable, excited, inspired to give their absolute best. So if you're doing a session and you're making someone do another take because you want a better take, then you're a producer.
Right. Yeah.
So I think you probably are a producer.
Yeah, and it's a lot of psychology to that.
Oh, so much.
And sometimes you don't have to say a thing; just get the right players, and it sorts itself out. And that's something to be said about that.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about getting talented players.
Yeah, but the right, for
personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can have really, really great musicians that don't gel together. What's one thing I love about musicians though? It doesn't matter. Socioeconomic background, race, creed, religion, none of that matters. Musicians are musicians first and foremost. Male, female, none of it matters. If you're in a room with musicians and the respect is there amongst the musicians, none of that other crap matters. But you're going to be held accountable if you fuck up.
Oh, yes.
If you're playing with other really talented players or players that you deem more talented than yourself, it's going to cause you to rise. If the expectation is higher, it's going to cause you to improve.
That's the situation where you want to be always, right?
Yeah, you always want to be learning and growing and getting better. And I would say the same is true of engineering, for sure. Learning new stuff. So, do you have a studio at your house now?
I do, which me and Steve put together maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it's a lot of crap in there. It's, I don't really have a good console yet, but I heard about this Yamaha PM1000, which is...
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually.
It's a good thing for a hybrid mix.
Right.
I can't justify buying a $50,000 console.
Yeah.
At the music climate today.
Well, when I started, and I'm really lucky to be able to manage this place, but when I started, home studios didn't really exist. I mean, maybe a wealthy musician would have had, Frank Sinatra or Stevie Wonder, whatever, would have had their instruments, would have had a small setup just to capture ideas if they were writing or something like that. But you couldn't have a large format console unless you had a giant house. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's 10 feet long. You know what I mean? So I'm blessed to be able to manage this incredible place. But I was going to say that it doesn't, the gear, you say, oh, it's not really what I want and stuff like that. But, if you're a good carpenter.
Yeah, I mean, I did a record on the 1680 that sounded decent.
Decent, right. Yeah. But you were learning mic placement, learning all that stuff. So you're learning all that. You're hanging out with Steve. This is like 99. When did you're kind of known for touring with Gov't Mule for quite some time.
15 years.
15 years, that's a long time. So what led to that gig? How did you get that gig?
Yeah, when I started to produce a little bit outside Little Days, I met this guy, Jeff Young. He just passed away, which is terrible.
Aww.
Good friend of mine.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah. He was the keyboard player with Sting and Jackson Browne and Steely Dan, Donald Fagen, all that.
So good.
Yeah, he's an amazing songwriter. And,
I'm sure I must have met him in my travels.
Yeah. So he heard my stuff, and we started playing in a side band with Steve Ferroni and this New York guitar player, Drew Zing.
Hello, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve, we're actually neighbors. We didn't realize it at the time, but...
oh, now?
Yeah.
In the Valley?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Well, neighbors in L.A. I mean, it's a 5-minute walk, 1-minute drive.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see him fairly often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does sessions all the time.
Yeah.
So you're playing with that group.
Yeah, and they're working on some music, and I get hired to play on that as a bass player, and we have a live band that we play the Baked Potato and a few other gigs.
What was that band called?
Jeff Young and the Youngsters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, anybody that was in the band were the Youngsters.
Nice.
Could be anybody. So at this time it was us, and he heard my stuff that I've done on the 1680, and he was like, man, maybe you want to work on some songs with me. I was like, I have nothing to offer you. He was like an R&B guy, and I'm not that guy.
Right.
He's like, no. I want your quirky melodies and sounds and stuff, everything.
I want your weird Swedish shit on my song.
Yeah,
no
it's
kidding,
just like small pedals.
I want your metal influenced, folk music on my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So he thought I was this pop guy because I'm so into ABBA and 10cc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to talk about the ABBA thing. Yeah. Okay. I respect ABBA, but I think you'll find, and maybe I'm in the minority.
I think you might be. I don't even know what you're going to say, but...
I mean, there's a reason ABBA's huge. So...
I told you to listen to Slipping Through My Fingers.
I need to go back, listen to some ABBA. I mean, obviously, I'm from South Carolina, so I'm predisposed to like Southern bands like Tom Petty or the Allman Brothers or whatever. So if I was from Sweden and they were my country band, my home country band, not country, but you know what I mean, from my country, I'm sure that I would be, I need to not sound ignorant on my podcast and go back and check out some ABBA. There was somebody else besides you, though, who loved ABBA that's a friend of mine who's like a rocker.
Dave Grohl.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
He's the biggest ABBA fan there is.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I know. That's so nuts. Okay. So maybe when he did the Bee Gees record, maybe he'll do an ABBA record.
Yeah, I've seen him perform with an ABBA T-shirt and stuff.
I love that. I have to talk to him about that. We definitely need to talk to him about the ABBA thing. I need to get on the ABBA train.
Yes.
Okay, so wait, why did we start talking about ABBA?
The arrangements. As far as Jeff Young and all the
Thank
R&B.
You for pulling me back.
So he wanted that out of me. So when he came with his songs, I started to do little counter melodies and stuff like that. And so we ended up doing the whole record in 2000.
And that was his solo record?
Yeah, 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And so he thought I was this pop guy that had good groove because I played bass on it. You know, I could play the R&B stuff fairly good. The only thing I couldn't do was reggae, and he kept telling me, "Man, you're not a reggae player."
You know, that's a genre I also am not. Mad respect for reggae, but it's not a go-to for me.
No.
Yeah. I respect it. It's just not a go-to.
It's super deep, and you have to kind of live it. Like the blues, people think blues is easy to play. It ain't.
No, I think blues would be hard. I think blues and jazz, to me, blues and jazz would be the hardest. To me. Yeah, blues and jazz would be concurrent to me.
The foundation for blues is easy, but the depth of it is endless. So you got to just live it, be it.
And is Gov't Mule a rock band or a blues band or a blues rock band?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, either one. It ain't a pop band, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, yeah. So how did you catch the eye?
Yeah, so Jeff Young started to play with Warren Haynes in the early 90s before he moved from New York back to L.A. to join Jackson's band permanently. And so we worked on the record.
Where is Warren from?
He's from Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been there many times.
Yeah, it's a really cool city,
it's
actually.
It's a beautiful city. My friend lives there. He's a drummer. Actually, my really good friend Harry lives there, and he's an incredible drummer. And his daughter is a ridiculous bass player.
The whole music scene there in Asheville reminds me of Sweden a little bit. It's like...
and it's a mountain town.
Yeah.
It's a little
it could be that.
Little wooded mountain town. Hippie town.
It's fantastic.
It's a great town, actually.
So at the time, 2007, Andy Hess, the current bass player at the time with Mule, left the band.
Okay.
But he hung around through half of 2008 because it's a vast catalog. You can't just leave. Well, actually, you can.
You can.
You can.
We probably won't talk about that. We might. We'll see. But but Jeff,
so Jeff called up Warren and said, "I think I might have the guy for you here in L.A." And then by Jeff's word,
dude, we love Jeff Young.
Yeah. So
they
flew me to New York and
you auditioned
at SIR on Jeff's word.
Very righteous.
They didn't listen to anything. They just took his word because I came out of a pop band. I was playing with Adam Cohen, and we were actually recording here at 3 with Pat Leonard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, in 2004. So I was doing that.
So Adam Cohen, Leonard Cohen's son.
Yes, correct.
I love him. We did a few things with him, actually, and I love Pat Leonard. Pat just finished a solo record. I was honored. He sent it to me. I'll send it to you.
Oh,
dude, he's so good.
I heard 5 minutes from it.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
Such an amazing pianist, keyboard player, songwriter, great producer.
And I was such a huge fan of Toy Matinee. And so on the session was Brian, what's his name, the drummer, spacing out, the guy that played on Toy Matinee. But it was Tim Pierce and then Pat Leonard. I don't
remember. I should know that. That's bad. Bad studio
His name is Brian. I can't think of his last name.
Yeah, I can't remember it either. But you fly to New York and you're at SIR and you audition and that's that?
Yeah, it was like a 2.5 hour audition. I learned 8 songs and then they were jamming. They were testing my ear, see if I could follow their changes because nothing is the same with it. You don't play the same. Certain songs are the same, but a lot of them are just open.
Jamming.
Whatever the next song is, there's segues and there's different.
But that sounds like it would be cool and fun for a musician. Yeah. Instead of just okay, this is a song, we play it the same way every freaking night, beginning to end, that's that. Yeah. This sounds more collaborative.
Yeah, no, but I have both those things. I love the Carpenters, I love ABBA, Bee Gees, and all that 10cc shit. Yeah.
What?
Oh,
so when I was a teenager, I just got to say, if there's people out there listening.
But this came later.
Oh,
when I moved to the States, I heard the U.S. radio, and I heard all these amazing songs. And
all incredible bands, but definitely would have considered them sort of bubblegum pop, and I thought I was too cool. Full circle.
And you would be right to say that as a rebellious teenager.
I don't know.
But when you're a little bit older and you hear the Karen
Oh, no, they're amazing.
I mean, it's
it's ridiculous.
believable.
Oh, no, they're super noted and agreed, super good. But quick segue, quick interesting fact. I loved Sobs and had 2 Sobs. And my dad, when I was in high school, gave me a 67 Nova.
Oh.
Dude, and it was such a badass car, right? But I was such a little nerd that I wanted like a Citroen or a Saab. And my father had been in World War II.
Yeah.
And he was like, what are you talking about with this foreign car? And not even in his mind, Peugeot, Citroen, Saab, in his mind, he says, if you're going to go European, go Mercedes. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah. He had a Dodge Dart Swinger, had all these cool cars. And I was like, yeah, like I wanted a Pacer or something really weird. But see, the connection, we have the Saab connection.
Yeah, that Saab connection.
The Saab story. So all the way back, you play for 2.5 hours, you jam at the rehearsal studio.
Yeah.
And they offer you the gig?
Almost.
Okay, so what happened?
They wanted to make sure, so I went back to LA, and then I went to Sweden for a family vacation, and I was talking to Warren. He wanted me to learn more songs, and I said, I think I've learned enough.
Ooh, I'll call you.
Yeah, you gotta give me the gig or not. And so, call you back. And they said, okay, we'll offer you the gig. Can you now learn these extra 300 songs?
Right, yeah. I'm not going to spend, 3 months of my time busting my ass if you're not going to hire me for the gig.
And I don't chart out that stuff. It's just listening over and over and just get it.
Now, do you read music?
I do. Not great. I mean, I read chord charts.
Chord charts. Yeah.
But
that's normal.
If it's written out, I used to read good in the early 90s when I was in school, or a decent reader.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I have to get the charts a day ahead, unless it's quarter notes. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I can do that.
So, in the meantime, while all this is happening, you've gotten married, you have a son.
Yes.
So he was born what year?
2004.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's like mind-blowing to me. That means he's 19 now?
Yeah, exactly.
I never had children, so it's always like a time warp for me. Like my friends have kids that are like, I'm like, wait a minute. You were 2, now you're 30. What's going on? That's crazy.
Yeah, he's 19, Sean.
And is he interested in music?
No, he's interested in music as music.
As a fan?
Yeah, but more so into cameras and photography.
Well, this is very cool.
Yeah, no, he would love doing this stuff.
Awesome. We're pointing at Nader, my incredible videographer who we adore.
It's a good age.
So it's an amazing gig. So you take the Gov't Mule gig, and your son is young.
Yeah. I mean, he was 3-4 years old.
So Minnie's so awesome. You just go, yeah, babe, I'm gonna go on tour.
Yeah, before that, I had done the Dancing with the Stars tour. The tour they did the first time.
Whoa. What? Was Gov't Mule and Dancing with the Stars?
No. So this is right before Gov't Mule. I did a 3-month tour with Dancing with the Stars, which was I was glad to get it.
So wait a minute, Dancing with the Stars tours?
Yeah.
So confused.
Yeah, they did that in the beginning.
Oh, so they don't just
huge.
tape.
Madison Square Garden, Staples Center is kind of
wow.
huge. Like 15 tour buses, Ritz Carlson.
Wow,
it was
nice. Better than a van. Everybody I know started in a van. It doesn't sound like you started in a van.
But I mean, to order room service at Ritz Carlson, you blow your weekly salary.
Right, you blow your per diem.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, yeah, easily, and then some. So.
But you didn't have a van, like a broke down van. Everybody starts in a broke down van.
Yeah. No, my first tour in '95, we never got to that, right?
No, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, so a guy called Jeff Paris got me on. He came with two. Yeah, Jeffrey Lieb. He worked under as a songwriter for all these '80s bands. He gave me 2 cassettes and said, "Learn this," and it was blues. So I really dialed in on the blues.
Oh, perfect.
And that's probably why I got the Mule gig.
That makes sense.
10 years later.
That makes sense.
Or 15.
But that was a van. That was a van tour.
Yeah, it was in Germany. No, actually, it was a bus tour.
See, we've already gone to bus.
See, I flew up. That was with Jennifer Batten and
great
Mike
player.
Sembello.
Nice.
And drummer Gary Ferguson.
Michael
Fantastic.
Sembello.
Yeah.
Now, there's a name you don't hear or haven't heard for a minute.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we did not do Maniac.
Well, of course, yeah.
We didn't do it.
Didn't do Maniac.
It was a rock band.
Okay.
But anyway, so that was the first tour. If you're.
So yeah, that was Germany. So but now you took the Mule gig.
Well, I did the Dancing with the Stars tour.
In between.
And then I wasn't right for that, and I hated it, and I was miserable, drinking too much, and just basically got fired from that. Okay. And I was thinking to myself, I'm going to give up this touring. You know, I toured with boy bands and the Adam Cohens and the Evan and Jarens and all people like that. It's just on Columbia, Sony Records.
Yeah, I remember.
It's driving me crazy.
I remember Evan and Jarens.
Yeah, talented. We recorded here actually.
Yeah, very talented. I remember that.
Studio
actually.
One.
Yeah. What happened to Evan and Jared?
You tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have to find out.
So I was thinking about giving up the touring, and I was going to give studio thing a few more years. 'Cause I was just so worn out after that thing. And then Jeff said, this guy Warren Haynes is going to call you. I suggest you go on YouTube and check it out. Because I never listened to the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. But that's my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have since because I have to learn a bunch of stuff. But.
I heard Whipping Post the other day randomly. Yeah, it was somebody was on a playlist. I was in the kitchen here at the studio, and I was like, oh my God, that is so fucking good.
That's a killer track.
What a great song.
Dude,
Stormy Monday. Yeah, Stormy Monday and Whipping Post. The intro, just like such a killer bass line.
Right? Which I find out later. But yes, I didn't know it.
Who was Barry Oakley, the bass player? Yeah. I met him when I was 9 years old.
He was only in the band for a few years, I think.
He died. Motorcycle accident.
Right after Dwayne.
Yes, motorcycle accident.
Same kind of blocks too.
You do all this heroin, but then you die on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So this is the
But
message.
the legacy, man.
Oh, dude. But also, don't do heroin and drive a motorcycle. That's the other.
Yeah, it's a good rule.
I don't know if that was the case. But that's a good rule.
That's a good rule to follow.
So you checked out the Allman Brothers, kind of got hip to that blues thing, started to dig in on that.
Yeah, so at the audition, I told Warren that I'm not familiar with the Allman Brothers at all. And he's like, that's good. We don't play that stuff in Gov't Mule. And we didn't until Greg Allman passed away. And then, like 10 years later, we started to do that stuff. You know what I mean?
My phone is buzzing, but we're going to ignore that.
We were ignoring.
Yeah, we're ignoring. But they are a rock blues band.
Gov't Mule, or yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think he was intrigued more about my Black Sabbath, Deep Purple background.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm a huge Sabbath fan.
Yeah, it's a lot of improvisation going on there, you know.
Dude, so Sabbath considered metal.
Yeah.
But to me, it's.
Well, the earliest Sabbath is blues.
It's blues, right?
With some evil riffs.
With like Zeppelin was blues too.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff. Early Stones is blues. Early Beatles is blues.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all. And I love that the Stones brought over Muddy Waters and I think Willie Dixon and people like that. That was so awesome. So amazing. So Gov't Mule, that first tour, where did you tour? Was it just States or Europe?
Yeah, it was a U.S. tour. And my hair turned gray after that tour. First week we didn't repeat.
You don't have gray hair.
Yeah, I do. It's dyed.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Me too.
I'll tell my...
Yeah, tell your person. Whoever does your hair looks amazing. Looks like natural highlights.
Yes, it is.
That surprises me that you had gray hair. But anyway,
it was so much stress because the first week we didn't repeat one song. Every show was different music.
Oh crap!
So.
And who's the drummer? Who was the drummer?
Matt Abs.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2 sets every night. Plus, I had to learn about 2 to 3 to 4 covers every day.
Dude, that's grueling.
People sitting in. So on top of, I played each song one time at rehearsal. That was it. And then we just kept doing it for a week until we started to repeat some songs after a while.
Now, nice guys in the band, easy to work with?
Yeah.
I mean, you play with them for a long time, so it becomes a family.
I mean, you kind of go between your favorite, you hang with one person, and then you go to another one, you know.
Bass player, it's always a drummer, though, no?
Yeah, me and Matt started another side project, Planet of the Abs, which Steve Holroyd engineered.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Planet of the Abs. That's great.
Yeah. Well, he already had a T-shirt that said Planet of the Abs, and I said we should call a song that. And then went from a song to the record was going to get called Planet of the Abs, and then the band was called POA. So,
nice.
Yeah, so that was that.
So during the time that you were touring with Gov't Mule, were there breaks where you were working on side projects?
Yes. So in that case, POA was that, and Little Days, and Jeff Young. We did another record, and I did a bunch of other smaller projects. I try to stay away from working with other people because I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Unless it was something really, fun.
Yeah, but I mean that's got to be a pretty brutal touring schedule.
It was extremely brutal.
Yeah. I mean, and they're still touring.
Yes.
You're no longer with Gov't Mule, but
no.
I'm sure the future holds many cool
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going to happen.
That's a long time. 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, other than bands like the Stones or people like that, I don't know that many bands that tour that long. With kind of the same members for most of the time?
Always the same for me.
Wow.
And I've been in the band 15 years, so if you combine all the other bass players, I've been in the band longer than all of them combined.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, I'm sure they're feeling the loss of you not being in the band.
I'm sure they don't.
I actually think they probably do.
No.
Well, their loss again.
Yes.
Their loss again. Certainly, they're going to do what they're going to do. But life, I think things happen for a reason. Obviously, I'm an optimist, so I like to look at things that way because the alternative is not so good.
Right.
I like to think things happen for a reason, and then you can kind of move on. So and you've been doing a lot of recording. You've been doing, and you've got your studio now. People can hire you.
Yes.
You can hire Jorgen.
Yes.
And if you don't know how to reach him, is there a website for your studio?
No.
How do people reach you?
I'm the worst. I don't have social media.
Yeah,
nothing.
I don't either. I need to do social media for this podcast because I want to promote the podcast, but I'm going to make it like an Instagram account for the podcast.
Yeah.
It's not going to be me.
You can put my email there.
Okay, I will.
Carlsson.
Yeah, for sure I will.
For
sure I will. Well, I'll try to get you some gigs too because I definitely do. Part of my job, and people might not think this. People probably think that people call a commercial studio like East West and they're all pros. And yes, we work with lots of pro musicians and A&R people and managers, but a day doesn't go by that someone doesn't call me, and I always try. I tell my staff this too, it doesn't matter who calls. You got to treat everybody with the same respect and the same care. And if someone calls me and they kind of don't know the process, I'm more than happy to lay it out. And we record lots of people that no one's ever heard of or where it's a freshman effort. And I always also say that everyone makes a first record. The Beatles made a first record. A lot of artists that I work with over the years, like Frank Ocean came in, God bless him. And so many people. Poe, who's an incredible artist who's working with us. She also had a room here back when it was cello. She's amazing, amazing singer, amazing writer. But I don't mind walking people through the process, finding out what their budget is, trying to manage expectations is hard when someone doesn't understand what we do for a living. And if they don't understand why they need an engineer, my analogy is always, you wouldn't get on a plane without a pilot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm kind
that's
of
a good one.
Or get on a train without without a conductor. So I try to emphasize that, you respect the people in the chain, the engineer, the assistant engineer, etc. And, if the song is great, do you need an expensive studio? Not necessarily. I mean, it's really about the song and your ability as a musician and the performance. Could it be enhanced by coming to a great studio with a great engineer, with good mics and the acoustic space? I think one of the things that sets a commercial facility like this apart from anything you can do in your house, and I know you do amazing stuff, is the acoustics of the space.
Yeah, and there's also the legacy, which I think plays a big role.
You think the vibe?
Yeah, knowing who's been here before you and done.
I think that can intimidate a lot of people, though. Maybe we hope it inspires versus intimidates.
I stood outside this door and I heard Audioslave cutting Cochise.
Dude, I love that band so much.
I couldn't believe it. They rehearsed on soft levels and then they just doom, 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 doom. It was incredible.
When we did all three of those records at cello, when I managed cello, same place. And I remember to think, because I loved Rage Against the Machine, and we had done Renegades of Funk kind of just prior to the Audioslave stuff. And I'm a huge Chris Cornell fan.
Yes.
I mean, oh my God. I have to honestly say, girl moment. only person I ever had a crush on in my entire professional career. Like, as a female of a man. The best singer, best looking, coolest guy ever.
Totally.
So many incredible musicians I've worked with. If you're listening to this, don't be butthurt. I'm sure I'm sure I had a crush on you too. But I really had just like a personal connection. We would talk about food and stuff. I mean, I loved Chris so much. And I got to go see him at South by randomly with the guys from Soundgarden playing, you know, probably 2015 maybe. But anyway, the Audioslave stuff at the time, I just remember thinking, oh my God. And I think Zach is amazing. I think Zach is an incredible singer for Rage. I think he suits. They obviously have a thing. But Tim and Brad and Tom Morello, I mean, they must have liked playing with Chris because they did 3 records, you know. And I remember hearing Cochise. And then what was it? Oh God, what's the song that I love so much? I said, fuck, what's the song? Is it
Show Me How to Live?
Heart Like a Stone, or what's it? Like a Stone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I played that one with him. Dude. I actually got a chance to play 2 shows.
With Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love that song so much. Yeah. And Rich Costi mixed it. Rick Rubin produced it. It sounded incredible. But I will say this, and I know I'm going to get some flack about this. I liked the rough mixes before the stuff that actually got released onto the radio. And I listen to it now and I love it. But that seemed to me kind of the beginning, and was probably already well in swing, the loudness wars and the compression wars.
Yeah, the snare flattens out.
Yeah, like the crush. I call it the crushing.
Yeah. For sure.
The crushing. Again, I'm a layperson, so this is just me being honest about what I thought. And I remembered hearing the roughs going, oh my God, it sounds so big and it's so fucking amazing. And then hearing it on the radio and going, where did it go?
Yeah, everybody does all these anniversaries. Maybe one of those records could be a remaster or...
No, I did hear it the other day on the radio or a Spotify or something, and I've obviously adjusted to what the acceptable mix of the mix that was out there was. But I will tell you that you and I both, I stood outside the door when they were cutting and I cried.
So when I played with him the first time, we needed an extra song to fill out the set, and I was like, how about Cochise?
And what did he say?
You know that? Yeah, I kind of do.
And he was cool? And
I had to brush up on it a little bit.
But was he cool?
Yeah, so we did it.
Dude, the nicest
At the Roxy.
Oh, God, where was I? Fuck.
We did 2 shows at the Roxy. Yes. I was part of his sort of corporate band. It was Pete Thorne was...
Yes.
He was doing his real touring gig, and then the side gigs, I
love Pete Thorne, too.
Yeah, he called me in for that, and I was so grateful.
Dude, I will say... And again, if you're listening to this and you're a rock singer, don't be butthurt. But for me, Robin Zander, obviously Ozzy, but Robin Zander and Chris Cornell, bad-ass rock singers. And Robin Zander, to this day, his pipes, unbelievable.
Right.
Cheap Trick came in not that long ago. Great band. Killer band. And what a great singer.
Yeah, what about Glenn Hughes these days?
Oh, dude, he's ridiculous.
Yes, he just gets better and better.
Dude, he just gets better. And a badass bass player.
Yes.
And a super nice guy.
See, I don't know him.
Oh, he's a sweetie pie. Sweet, sweet, sweet man. We did Black Country Communion, which is a Joe Bonamassa, Glenn Hughes, and Jason Bonham, Glenn Hughes, and Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
Check that shit out.
Yeah.
That shit's... but Glenn Hughes is Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
I'm a huge Deep Purple fan.
Oh, yes.
Huge.
You know, it's weird. I need to revisit Deep Purple because
in Europe,
of course,
you had to pick Deep Purple or Led Zeppelin, and Deep Purple was bigger than Led Zeppelin in Europe. Led Zeppelin, for some reason, is royalty here in the States.
Yeah.
And they are as well.
Yeah.
Over the years and decades.
I'm Welsh, so
But back in the 70s, 80s, it was like, you had to pick between Beatles and the Stones, and you had to pick between Purple and...
I would like to say...
What?
For me, it would be both. Because I'm a huge Stones, huge Beatles fan.
Come on, of course.
And when people say, what record would you take to a desert island? This is assuming you have a turntable on a desert island.
Yeah, and electricity.
Right? Like, so, anyway, that's crazy and silly and fun. So... Wow. Dude, I didn't know you got to play with Chris.
Yeah.
I'm even more impressed by that than Gov't Mule.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
I agree.
Well, you know what you should do? I mean, I'm going to tell you what you should do right now.
What is that?
You should reach out to some of those people. You should reach out to some of those cats, man.
Well, me and Thorne, we still chat, you know.
Yeah. Man, because you have so much to offer. I mean, I love you and you're my friend, but I think you're a great musician, and I know there's a lot of people that know you're a great musician, but I think you're humble, which is good. This is a good thing to be humble. But at the same time, I don't know if you realize how good you really are. So if you're listening to my podcast,
anybody?
Well, not the good people. No, the good people don't think. The good people want to be better, and that's a good thing. That's a positive. Don't get your head up your ass. You know what I mean?
Right.
Frank Sinatra probably thought he could be a better singer. For me, Frank Sinatra, again, probably one of the greatest singers of all time.
Yes.
Without question.
Yes.
Who sang in this building. I walk into Studio One and I pinch myself because I can't even believe, and a cool guy.
Luck be a lady.
Dude, my way, sometimes I go in when I'm giving a tour and I'll play it from a phone. Mm-hmm. And even from a phone, if you're in Studio One, you can hear the room. Even from that recording, you can imagine what it would have been like for the orchestra. A lot of times Frank would sing in the middle with the orchestra around him.
Yeah, I've heard those 3-track recordings with a stereo band and then him in the middle, and it's fucking believable.
It's ridiculous. I was talking to someone the other day. Oh, you know what? You may be able to test my theory, actually, since you're a recording engineer and a producer. Record something mono and tell me, because I can't even find. I have a couple original mono records. But
you're saying rather mix something in mono, or yeah.
I'm saying do a mono mix, because I was talking to Robert Carranza the other day, who is a freaking genius, and I was asking the innocent question, like, why when I go listen to the Mamas and the Papas, which was done here in Studio 3, I pinch myself, or the Beach Boys, and I listen to the mono recording, and it's completely clear, it's completely balanced, and it's really loud.
Yes.
But not distorted. It's just really, really clear and really loud. You know what I mean? And it's not like everything really is blended. Those records in particular.
But you remember, we talked about this, because when I finished one record,
Lou Adler, dude,
I came down here to run some vocals and some tambourines through the chambers.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe 3.
Yeah.
And then it came back in stereo, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And I came home, and it's not how I remember. God only knows all those, the tambourines and stuff.
You could
and
do
so
mono.
I split them up in mono, and it was boom.
Dude, isn't it wild?
Yeah.
Why is that?
And it just parked itself in the mix.
Okay, we have 2 ears, but Robert was trying to explain to me that we actually hear in mono, because in our head, we blend it together when we hear it.
Is that so?
I don't know. Is that a thing? I'd have to talk to someone who studies like human hearing. But yes, we have 2 ears. We were discussing Atmos, and I was saying that the immersive experience for me goes best with picture, me personally. And I was saying that I don't necessarily need things flying all around. And I also like audience perspective. I don't like to feel like I'm sitting on stage and that the guitar is like on my shoulder. I mean, when you're playing on stage and you're a musician and you're playing in a band, that's one thing. You're in that experience, you're in that moment, but you're facing the audience.
Right.
And as a listener and as a concert attendant, I don't know that although now that thing's Sphere in Vegas, I got to check that out.
Yeah.
That's probably super fucking cool. And VR stuff is super cool. But I don't know. I like...
Stereo is fine with me.
Stereo, yeah, stereo and mono.
But every time you pan something into mono, it works, right?
Yeah. And I don't remember stuff being out of phase or anything like that.
And that's the thing with reverbs, too, when they're tube stereo. It just... something weird. You get away with it here and there, but I think mono is...
Mono's the way to go.
Yeah.
So all of you multi-channel geniuses, go back and listen to some mono stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm going to wrap it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's got a studio. You guys listening to my podcast, you musicians out there, all you badass touring cats and session players, first of all, start calling Jorgen and get him to play on sessions because he's a wicked bass player. And he can sing as well. He can sing. I think he's a good singer. I am not a singer. And then, you know, if you want to make a record or if you're listening to this and you're a young singer-songwriter and if, you know, you've ever heard him play or heard his music and you want him to produce your stuff or record your stuff, everybody's available for hire. You know, like people will say to me like, oh, I don't know, like, how do I get, you know, Greg Bissonette to play on my stuff? And I'm like, well, you call him up and you pay him.
Yeah.
You know, it's a magical thing. Living in LA is magic in that sense. I would say that LA and Nashville, New York some and Atlanta some, but LA and Nashville have some of the finest players in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, do you ever think about going back to Sweden?
Maybe as a retirement thing.
Yeah.
You know,
do they take care of you when you're old there? Like, you didn't pay in.
No, but I am paying in. Parts of my salary with Gov't Mule went in through Sweden to at least get a minimum pension.
Good
and then I have the
you.
Social Security here, and I even have some AFM session stuff that
Blessed.
it's
and
not.
And you have other royalties you'll get too. It takes a minute to get certain things
that's
that
what
we
I
won't discuss.
Yeah.
But you'll be getting those. I don't want to jinx anything for you. But yeah, performance royalties. Again, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a person who's in a position of power and or royalties are being distributed to you, just remember karma's a bitch, and you should distribute the royalties accordingly to the people that they belong to.
Right.
Performance royalties, secondary markets, any of those things, because it all adds up. Musicians don't get paid nearly enough to begin with, and they certainly deserve everything that they've worked for.
I couldn't have said it any better myself.
Well, thank you. Last thing I want to say is, what's the name of that band? That Lukather?
Oh, Nerve Bundle.
Nerve Bundle.
Yeah.
I've known Jorgen for a long time. I'm obviously a fan of Steve Lukather. Your keyboard player, who I love.
Jeff Babka.
Jeff Babka, what a badass.
Yeah.
And who was playing drums?
Lately it's been Greg Bissonette.
Greg Bissonette,
Speaking of,
also
right?
family and badass. So if you ever get a chance to see any of these offshoot bands that Steve Lukather has, whether it's Nerve Bundle, Lost Lobotomies, any of these bands. By the way, Michael Landau's playing at the Baked Potato Friday night. I think it's sold out.
He's the best guitar player in the world.
I you know what? He is, because now Jeff Beck is dead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Jeff Beck fan.
We all are.
Yeah. And still a huge Jeff Beck fan. But I love Michael Landau. Dude, something about the Valley. What is up with the San Fernando Valley? And you know, you're a transplant from Sweden, but what's up with the San Fernando Valley producing all these amazing players? So check out the albums. Now, what are the names of the records that you did with Luther?
Well, these were Steve Lukather solo records.
Oh, okay.
Well, the second to last one was supposed to be a Nerve Bundle thing, but I guess the label said, Steve Lukather, Nerve Bundle won't sell or something.
Oh, got it, okay.
But anyways, we were on the floor recording. It was me, Babko, David Page.
Amazing.
So two of the best keyboard players.
Oh, my God.
And then Greg, me, and Luke.
Fantastic.
And the last one I just did overdub.
Talk about your rhythm section.
Yeah.
Dude.
But that was as close as I got to Jeff Porcaro. You know, recording with those cats was amazing.
Do they know the great abiding love that you have for Jeff?
I think Luke sort of knows
it.
Yeah, I might have mentioned it 10 times.
Well, Jorgen, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes,
That's
my pleasure.
For Trade Secrets. I would definitely like to have you come back again and do like a second one with you in the future, because I want to see what's up in the future.
Whatever happened after.
Yeah. I want to see what's happening for you, and give your best to my wife.
Yeah.
And there you go. I love her so much. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.